Hello, dear students. Welcome to this LMS digital learning platform of Department of Collegiate Education. Today, in this video session, we are going to discuss the romances by Edmond Rostand. This is the continued part of the part 2, a video prepared on the same play. In this play, we will continue from the part where we left in the last class. To know where we left, let us recap once. In the last part of the video, we came to know that both Percinet and Sylvette were near the wall. They were talking to one another. In the meantime, Bergamin enters that place. When Bergamin comes, Sylvette hides herself behind the wall. At that moment, Bergamin warns Percinet not to use his poetic lines and be very imaginative, because he was addressing the wall. He was actually addressing Sylvette using his romantic lines of poems. But Bergamin questions, even calls him as nonsense for that matter, right? So when this happens, both of them leave the place, and Sylvette was near the wall, and Pasquinot observes her, and when he found her near the wall, he commands her not to stay near the wall, and tells her to stay away from the wall in the path, because he was feeling insecure. If she is near the wall, she would receive some threat from her enemy, from his enemy, right? So, and also he reminds her of the enmity, eternal enmity, ಯಾವಾಗಲಿಂದನೂ ಇರುವಂಥ ಎನಿಮಿಟಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ with the neighbours, ಅವನ ಪಕ್ಕದವನ ಜೊತೆ ಇರುವಂಥ ಶತ್ರುತ್ವದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ನೆನಪಿಸ್ಕೊಡೋದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೆವು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, even he decided one more thing, that he would raise the height of the wall by using iron grills ಅನ್ನು ಬಳಸಿ ಆ ವಾಲ್ಸನ್ನು ನಾನು ಆಚೆಯಿಂದ ಯಾರು ಬಾರದಂತೆ ಪ್ರಿವೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಅವನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. You also see that the same idea was there in Bergamin also, who wanted to put glass pieces on the wall in order to prevent the intruding from the other side. So anyhow, at the outset, at the outward level, we find a kind of enmity, a lot of hatredness between the neighbors. But the reality is different. The reality is actually, in reality, they are friends. In pretense, they are enemies. They pretended to be enemies in front of these children. Because of the children's love, they had already been united. The children's love had already been united them, and therefore we see but they pretend to be enemies here, right? Continue ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Why did they pretend? Because to test the love of their children, whether they really love or not. What is the extent of their love? That they wanted to test before making or arranging marriage between the both. Therefore, we observe here in this context, Pasquinot tells Sylvette to go home, and then he secretly, stealthily walks towards Bergamin and talks to him, meets him, and discusses the future plan, what to do ahead. So again we see there is a predicament here, the human difficult situation. Here is Bergamin and Pasquinot decide to get their children married, but they cannot do it. The complexity here is that they know everything, that they love each other, the children love each other, because we also came to know Bergamin, who hid himself behind a bush, and then he observed the conversation between Percinet and Sylvette, and realize their true love. Still, there is a problem here, that the plan these parents have made so far to test their love is not known to the children. Both Sylvette and Percinet are unaware of their master plan, and if they come to know what would happen, right, will they accept the marriage? This is the thing, because parents wonder if they will agree to marry when they get to know the parents' plan, because they wanted to marry on their own, making their own effort. Right? If parents make effort to unite them, will they agree for that? Will they follow that? That is a question in the mind of these parents, Bergamin and Pasquinot. Therefore, they had a plan here. The plan is to test their love, at the same time make them put effort to love each other and convince their parents. The plan is to separate them separate the children, and in order to make them fall in love and to realize their love in an artificial way again. Then Sylvette was kept in the convent, the religious place where the congregations happens. Dharmika Chintanagalaguva Sthala. So at the same time we see Percinet was kept at the school. So the the love between both blossomed because of the absence of the heart, because with the absence of something we realize the value of something. So here you see the absence made the hearts grow fonder. Ibru obrigobru innu atmiyaragtare. The plan works to know them. So here this plan helped both the parents to know the children better, realize their love, the intents of their love, the true love, the deep love between them. But we observe here, in this case, they can't let the children know this, that they have planned to test their love. All these things cannot be made to know. They wanted to know this outwardly. That means, though it is a plot to test their love, that should act as if natural thing. Therefore, because they realize, they also think that if the children on one day come to know about this plot, this plan of testing their love and creating an artificial environment, they would lose love to one another, right? They would lose interest in love. Therefore, the parents decided on second plan. The second plan is to create a situation where they themselves fight for their love, and the realization of the love happens from all here, for those, especially for those two parents. Therefore, Bergamin knew the plan is actually as a result of Bergamin's idea, that he heard of Sylvette's imaginary thoughts. What was her imaginary thought? She had thought earlier that, of course, she had a thought in her mind that their story of love, their love story would become eternal, universal, and because it's an unique one ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅವಳು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾಳೆ, ವಿಶಿಷ್ಟವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅವಳು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾಳೆ. Both of them compare themselves to Romeo and Juliet, but they never wanted it to end like Romeo and Juliet's story, but still they wanted it like a story of those two and make it eternal. So here decides to use it to get children married. Parents decided it, but they decided on the basis of creating a situation where they should prove their love once again. That situation from Bergamin is to arrange to hire a kidnapper to arrange a kidnapper, and through the kidnapper abduct Sylvette. When the abduction takes place, what happens? The other one who loves her, that is Percinet, who would come to the spot and he would fight, right? He will fight and he would definitely try to save her. When he rescues her, saves her, when he safeguards his lover, then everybody appreciates him and his valor, and finally the marriage will be accepted and everything settles. This is the plan. The same idea was there in Sylvette's imagination earlier, right? She thought of a squire being sent by a duke, and when the squire was bringing her, their Percinet enters and fights with the squire, and finally his valor or his bravery make both the parents, especially Pasquinot, Sylvette's father, get impressed, and because of his valor or bravery, he would give Sylvette to him ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೆವು. ಅದು ಅವಳ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲು ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. So now there is a plan to create that situation in reality. Therefore, they brought now not a squire but a kidnapper. A kidnapper is Straforel. Straforel ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So when they went to Straforel and tell him this plan of abducting their own children, particularly Sylvette, what would the reaction? That is very funny here. That adds to the comic sense of the play. So Bergamin hires Straforel. He hatches the plan. He reveals the plan to get Sylvette abducted. He planned a ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ. Straforel, of course, he narrates the entire plan to Straforel. But also remember that particularly Bergamin wants to take care of both. That is Sylvette and Percinet in the process. They shouldn't be harmed by the kidnapper. Then they expected the son, therefore he expects his son Percinet to remain safe in the process, not receiving any threat from the kidnapper. But the real comic sense, which probably a part of satirical or sarcastical part of the play, the satire ಅಂದರೆ ವಿಡಂಬನೆ, ಐರನಿ, ವ್ಯಂಗ್ಯದಿಂದ ಬರುವಂಥದ್ದು ವಿಡಂಬನೆ. ಆ ವಿಡಂಬನಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಭಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆರಂಭವಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಅದು when Bergamin informs the plan or tells his plan to Straforel offers plenty of options of kidnapping, variety of options of ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪಿಂಗ್, ಎಷ್ಟೆಷ್ಟು ರೀತಿ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನುವ ಬಗೆಯ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನು, ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಇದು ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಹಾಸ್ಯವನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಇವತ್ತಿನ ವಾಸ್ತವ ಸತ್ಯವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪರ್. He knows varieties. Now if you go to buy a vehicle, for example, you will find various variants, models, variants ಅನ್ನು ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. Each one has got its own plus points and negative points. So you see, therefore, here he has got an interesting passage. Indeed, I have. Let me read out. See, Bergamin says, then you have many classes. Tumba classes, variety of classes irbekalva. Very classes of abduction. First class abduction anne nimu kodtini anta now for ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. Then you have very many classes. ಅವನು reply ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, Straforel, indeed I have the ordinary vulgar abduction in a cab. There is one that is, you see, vulgar abduction in a cab nalli, vehicle nalli bandu vulgar, that is not a good one, of cheap variety abduction or kidnap itself is a cheap thing. Adaralli ಒಂದು cheap variety, right? Then with two men dressed in black, ಕಪ್ಪು ಬಟ್ಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಬ್ರು ಬರೋದು, that is rarely used. ಜನ ಅದನ್ನು ಬಳಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ, rarely used. The daylight abduction, ಬೆಳಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ daylight abduction. Midnight abduction, another one. As a contrast to that, we have one midnight abduction. The midnight abduction, the pompous abduction in a court carriage. We have one more, the pompous ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೆಸಿವ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ. ತುಂಬ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಗಿ, ತುಂಬ ಗೌರವಯುತವಾಗಿ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ? ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಯೇಜ್, ರಾಜರನ್ನ ರಾಣಿಯರನ್ನ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂಥ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ರಾಜರಾಸ್ಥಾನದ ಗಾಡಿ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಬಳಸಿ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಯೇಜ್. ಓಕೆ, ವಿತ್ ಪೌಡರ್ಡ್ ಸರ್ವೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಸರ್ವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಪೌಡರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹಾಕಲಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಮೇಕಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೂರಿಸಲಾಗ್ತದೆ. ತುಂಬ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ವೆರೈಟಿ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪಿಂಗ್, ರೈಟ್? ಅಂಡ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್, ವಿಗ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಅಡಿಷನ್ ಆಗಿ ತುಂಬ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಫಿಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿ ವಿಗ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಡಲಾಗ್ತದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ. ಯಾರು ಬಾಳ್ ಹೆಡ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮೇಕಪ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೂರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ವಿತ್ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ಸ್, ನೀಗ್ರೂಸ್, ಬ್ರಿಗ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್, ಮಸ್ಕೆಟೀರ್ಸ್, ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಲೈಕ್. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಯಾರು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಸೇರಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾದರೆ ಬ್ರಿಗ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಲೂಟಿಕೋರನ್ನ, ನೀಗ್ರೋಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ, ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ಸ್, ಮಸ್ಕೆಟೀರ್ಸ್, ಇವ್ರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಸೇರಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ದೆನ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಲೈಕ್. ದ ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್-ಚೇಸಿ, ಅನದರ್ ವೆರೈಟಿ ಈಸ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್-ಚೇಸಿ ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್. ಪೋಸ್ಟ್-ಚೇಸಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಎ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ಡ್ ಹಾರ್ಸ್ ಡ್ರಾನ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೇಜ್. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಕುದುರೆಯ ಒಂದು ಹಾರ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ಕೂಡ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ, ವಿತ್ 2 horse, 3 horse, 4, 5 horses. ಯಾವುದು ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೋದು. ದುಡ್ಡು ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಷ್ಟು, ರೈಟ್? ದೆನ್ ಆಡ್ ಲಿಬ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅನದರ್ ವೆರೈಟಿ. ದ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರೀಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ವೈಟ್ ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್. ಆಡ್ ಲಿಬ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಆಸ್ ಮಚ್ ಆಸ್ ನೆಸಸರಿ ಡಿಸೈರ್ಡ್. ಆಡ್ ಲಿಬ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಲ್ಯಾಟಿನ್ ಫ್ರೇಸ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು ಅಷ್ಟು, 2 horse ಬೇಕಾದರೆ 2, 5 ಬೇಕಾದರೆ 5 ವೆರೈಟಿಯನ್ನು ಆಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ದೆನ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ad lib. Then we have the discreet and quaint abduction in a small carriage. Discreet ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವಿಚಿತ್ರವಾದಂತಹ, ವಿಭಿನ್ನವಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಯೇಜ್. ಕ್ವೈಟ್, ನಾಟ್ ಮಚ್ ನಾಯ್ಸ್, ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಶಬ್ದ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಆ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನದರ್ ವೆರೈಟಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್, ದಟ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ರಾದರ್ lugubrious variety. Lugubrious means looking or sounding very sad, mournful or dismal. ಆ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ವೆರೈಟಿ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. See, lugubrious. In page number 53, we have the paragraph, right? So, lugubrious, the rollicking abduction. We have another one, rollicking, lively and very amusing. ಒಂದು ಸ್ಯಾಡ್ ವೆರೈಟಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅಮ್ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ವೆರೈಟಿ. ಖುಷಿಯಿಂದ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿಯಿಂದ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ rollicking abduction in which the victim is carried away in a sack. In which a victim is carried away in a sack, ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ ಚೀಲದಲ್ಲಿ. Then the romantic abduction in a boat. ಬೋಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ವೆರೈಟಿ ಆಫ್ abduction, that is romantic one in a boat. See varieties you can observe. Romantic abduction in a boat. And we have, but a lake is necessary. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಲೇಕ್ ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ, ಬೋಟ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಲೇಕ್ ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಲೇಕ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಗೆ that is not possible. The Venetian abduction in a gondola. We have another one, Venetian abduction related to Venice. ವೆನಿಸ್ಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟದ್ದು, ವೆನಿಸ್ ಇನ್ ಇಟಲಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಇಟಲಿಯ ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಯಂ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಇದು ಇನ್ ಎ ಗೊಂಡೋಲಾ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಫ್ಲಾಟ್ ಬಾಟಮ್ಡ್ ಬೋಟ್. ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕು? ನೀರಿನ ಒಂದು ಲಗೂನ್ ಬೇಕು. ಲಗೂನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ವಾಟರ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಬೇಕು, ರೈಟ್? ಎ ಬಾಡಿ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಒಂದು ಕೆರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಬೇಕು, ರೈಟ್? ಅದು ಯಾವುದು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅಗೇನ್ we have another variety, that is you have no lagoon for all these. Moonlight abduction ಇದೆ. The abduction on a dark and starless night ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂಥ abduction. Those moonlight abductions are quite the style, though they are a little dear. Besides these, there is the abduction by torchlight ಬಳಸಿ. moonlight ನಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಲೈಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು abduction ಇದೆ. ಟಾರ್ಚ್ ಲೈಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಲೈಟ್, ಅದನ್ನು ಬಳಸಿ ಒಂದು ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್, ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. ವಿತ್ ಕ್ರೈಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀಮ್ಸ್. ಅದು ಹೆಂಗಿರುತ್ತೆ? ಕ್ರೈಸ್, ಕೂಗುಗಳು, ಕಿರುಚಾಟಗಳು, ಸ್ಕ್ರೀಮ್ಸ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕ್ಲಾಶ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಶಾಕ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಮ್ಸ್. ಲಿಟಲ್ ಬಿಟ್ ವೈಲೆಂಟ್, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಹಿಂಸಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ದ ಬ್ರೂಟಲ್ ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಅದು, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ರೈಟ್, ಬ್ರೂಟಲ್, ಕ್ರೂರವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್. ದ ಪೊಲೈಟ್ ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದಿದೆ, ಪೊಲೈಟ್ ಆದಂಥ ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್, ಅದು ತುಂಬ ವಿನಮ್ರವಾಗಿ ಕಿಡ್ನಾಪ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಒಂದಿದೆ. ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಕಲ್ ಒನ್ ವಿತ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ಸ್, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಕಲ್ ಒನ್ ವಿಚ್ ವೇರಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಹಾಕಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮುಖಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ, ಇಡೀ ಮುಖಕ್ಕೆ, ಬಾಯಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು another variety. And the gallant abduction to the accompaniment of music. gallant ಅಂದರೆ ಶೌರ್ಯಯುತವಾಗಿ, another one. gallant abduction, another one with the accompaniment of music. But the latest, most stylish, gayest of all is the Sedan chair abduction. ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಖುಷಿಯಾದದ್ದು ಒಂದಿದೆ, ಅದು ದ ಸೇಡನ್ ಚೇರ್ ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್. ಸೇಡನ್ ಚೇರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? an enclosed chair for transporting one person carried between horizontal poles by two portiers is there, right? ಒಂದು ರೀತಿಯ ಚೇರ್, ಒಂದು ಎನ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ಡ್ ಚೇರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಳ್ಳಿರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಚೇರ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೇಡನ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ನೋ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್. ಹಾಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಡ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಹಾರಿಸಾಂಟಲ್ ಪೋಲ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ಟೂ ಪೋರ್ಟರ್ಸ್, ಇಬ್ಬರು ಪೋರ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಹೊತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಒಂದು ಎರಡು ರಾಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಕುಳಿತುಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತಹ ಆಸನದ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದು, ಅದು ಇಬ್ಬರು ಹೊತ್ತುಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ರೀತಿಯ ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್, ಸೇಡನ್ ಚೇರ್ ಅಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್. ಸೊ ವೆರೈಟೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಟು Bergamin and Pasquinot. Can they decide easily? Because they have plenty of options what to choose. Yeah, wherever you go today in this marketing situation, you will be given a lot of options. Even to kidnap, you find plenty of options. What to decide now? That is the question now. Therefore, it confuses Bergamin, it confuses Pasquinot. How to choose? Which one is to choose? That is the decision, right? Now the decision is to whether they go with very expensive one, right? Very expensive ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ವೆರಿ ಚೀಪರ್ ವೆರೈಟಿಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಕ್ಲಬ್ಬಿಂಗ್ 3-4 ಆಗಿ ಹೊಸದೊಂದು ರೀತಿಯ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಎನ್ಶೋರ್ ದ ಸೇಫ್ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದೇರ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್, ರೈಟ್? ಎನಿಹೌ, ಲೈಕ್ವೈಸ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಡ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ a decision by the parents to create an abduction of their children, particularly abduction of Sylvette, and giving an option to Percinet to show his valor by fighting to rescue his lover's Sylvette. So let's conclude therefore that here in this part you see parents decide to get their children married, but they wonder if they will agree now, because they had a idea in the mind that they should fight for their love, and that means they should prove their love and convince their parents, and they should make finally get married with the acceptance of parents. But parents also made their plan to separate the children to make them fall in love, and it worked out because they realized the love. And in the next part, they made a second plan. That plan is actually to giving an option to Percinet to prove his love, and by proving his love, he would make Pasquinot get him impressed. Pasquinot impressed, and then Pasquinot would agree to arrange the marriage, and then the marriage finally will be arranged. That is the plan here, right? Accordingly, they hired Straforel, and Straforel offers plenty of varieties of abductions, sarcastically, or rather we can say satirically offers the poet, the playwright offers satirically varieties in even doing a ill act, ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, ರೈಟ್? ಅದರಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ಎಷ್ಟು ವೆರೈಟಿ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಹೇಳುವ ಮೂಲಕ ನಮಗೆ ಯೋಚಿಸುವಂತೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಸಿ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್, ಇನ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್. ಸಿ ಯು.